Hey, welcome everybody. It's Monday. We're ready to start a new week of discussing the Bible. There we go. I am your host, Stuart Davis, flawed man of God, a humble parishioner at a small church just outside of Richmond, Virginia. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a biblical scholar. I haven't been to seminary. I'm not trying to get you to join my church or donate to any special cause. Just here to talk about God, talk about the Bible. I'm sorry. Let me start back. Talk about God. Talk about Jesus. Talk about the Holy Spirit. All three. Talk about the Bible. Talk about Christianity. Talk about a wide variety of different topics, issues, and current events, and give you my perspective on them. One that I think is reflective of your average Christian guy. I've been a Christian all my life, 41 years, non-denominational Protestant. I don't subscribe to any particular doctrine or denomination. I'm just in the Word daily, trying to do it better each and every day. Sometimes I'll get it right. Often I'll get it wrong. But no matter what, when you're listening to this stream, if you're hearing my voice, you can count on getting my honest takes on whatever it is that we're discussing. So, if you are somebody who is interested in learning more about Christianity, you are seeking Christianity out, you feel like there's something missing in your life, and you just you feel that pull from God, and you want to learn more about it, or maybe there's a small voice in the back of your mind wondering if there's more to this existence than just your life here on earth. Yes, there is. Yes, you are on the right track. If you are seeking out Jesus, you're doing the right thing. I'm here to reassure you as much as some anonymous guy on YouTube can be for you. I'm here to try to encourage you. Keep up on it. And look, I get it. It's difficult out there. There's a lot of stuff on social media that's confusing. There's a lot of and it doesn't seem authentic. It seems scripted. Seems professionally made and contrived. It just does not feel like talking to a guy, like talking to just somebody next to you. It seems like it's coming from just somewhere else. It seems manufactured. And so you want something more down to earth, a little bit more, a little bit on your level. And part of that is why you're worried about getting it from church, because the pastor, he's that's his job, right? So you think, from an outsider looking in, you think, man, that's just his job. He just gets paid to do this. If he doesn't bring people in, he's going to lose his job. It's all that going on, and yeah, there's more to it than that. That's not how it's supposed to work. It's not how it generally works in church. But I can understand why that's in your mind. And that's why that might be holding you back. You don't want to hear it from the pulpit, but you might appreciate hearing it from a guy sitting in the pew next to you. Somebody you can say, hey, look, the man up there, he's getting it right. I've been doing this a long time, and I can tell you what faith is. And I think what it's meant for me, what it's done for me, what Jesus is all about, what it means for you, why I think that it's important that you share in our faith. I think it's important for everybody to share in our faith, not because I want everybody to agree with me. I want everybody to agree with God. If this is what you're looking for, if this is the kind of setting you like, then stick around. I think you'll enjoy it, because we kind of stay in the same. And this is just the culture of this show. So see if it's worth tuning into for you, or to continue to listen to. If you are already a Christian and you just enjoy Christian topics and discussions, welcome as well. Welcome as well. You'll see that we run this very similar to a Wednesday night study group or a Sunday school. It's all about small group interactions. We talk, we joke, We have a good time, but it's all centered around discussions of the faith. And when I say we talk and everything, and I know you just see me, but what you're not seeing or maybe not considering is the chat. And I want you to be part of that chat. Got a great group of folks who tune in and night out, and they are filing in as we speak, and it is always good to see them, and we'd love you to be part of that group. So by all means, participate. How to participate, might you ask? Well, easy. Give me your opinion. What do you agree with or disagree with? What do you think I'm doing right? What do you think I'm doing wrong? Um, what unique experience, insights, whatever do you have that you think you can add to the conversation? What perspective do you have that maybe we're not considering or discussing? Give your opinion. Ask questions. I might not have the answers. There's a decent chance I don't, but we can talk about the question and maybe hopefully we can point you in the right direction, or maybe the chat can answer it for you. And with that said, let's get this show on the road. I had an interesting well, let's just say interesting. I had comments. There were comments being made. Uh, one of the recent so just 3 days ago, so this was on Proverbs 14 part 2. I would have put up Tuesday night stream. Anyway, in comments, what's your take on Ezekiel 23:20 or Leviticus 25:39-46 or Psalm 137:9? Like, very interesting. They're kind of all over the place as far as where they're located in the Bible. Um, and I'm like, okay, you know, let's see. So I told him, I was like, look, my first thing was, well, I've done episodes on two of these. Psalm 137:9, we're not that far off from. Leviticus 25, I mean, that was back before I got a lot of you guys joined the show. Um, but I did do an episode on it. So I went to go find out what it was. And we'll start with Leviticus 25 because it's the uh first in the list, um, in order. If a fellow countryman of yours becomes so poor he has to sell some of his property, and then his nearest relative is to come and buy back, redeem what his relative has sold. Oh, wait. Well, hang on. I went to 20, didn't I? Did I go to 25? I'm at 25. All right. 39 through 46. There we go. Okay. Sorry. And if your fellow countryman becomes so poor in his dealings that he has to sell himself to you as payment for a debt, you shall not let him do the work of a slave who is ineligible of redemption, but he is to be with you as a hired man, as if he were a temporary resident. He shall serve with you until the year of Jubilee. And then he shall leave you, he and his children with him, and shall go back to his own family and return to the property of his fathers. For the Israelites are my servants, whom I brought out of the land of Israel. They shall not be sold in a slave sale. You shall not rule over him with harshness, severity, or oppression, for you are to fear your God with profound reverence. As for your male and female slaves, whom you may acquire male and female slaves from the pagan nations that are around you. Moreover, from the children of the strangers who live as aliens among you, from them you may buy slaves, and from their families who are with you, whom they have produced in your land. They may have become your possession. You may even bequeath them as an inheritance to your children after you, to receive as a possession. You can use them as permanent slaves, but in respect to your fellow countrymen, the children of Israel shall not rule over one another with harshness, severity, or oppression. All right. So that was what he wanted me to read through and respond to. So my first response is this. We have an issue. Ah, come on. Can y'all hear me okay? Great. Now I gotta do my thing where I do. Oh, I'm coming in okay now? What did y'all not hear? Or did y'all get the gist of this? Leviticus 25 talks in this particular area, talks about slavery. Slavery, basically indentured servitude among Israelites, and outright slavery, um, outright slavery, um, for people who are not Israelites, who are from outside nations. And so, okay, you got the gist. Okay. So, look, slavery is tolerated under certain conditions. You're not to mistreat people. Not you're not to mistreat people who are under your charge. You are if they are a slave, you are responsible for their well-being. This is a comment on YouTube, so you can actually go back and you can look at the interaction. But I'm gonna explain. I'm gonna tell you all about it if you don't feel like doing that. Um, but that's what it is. Okay, culturally now in society today in America and in most of Western culture and society, slavery is illegal. We don't do it. It still exists in the world, but we just don't do it. We don't care for it. We abhor it, especially the type of slavery that went on in America and in other places of the world. You hear the word chattel slavery. That is what was going on during slavery in America. Generally, was not what was okay biblically. People were mistreated, were very mistreated, abused, murdered, raped, all sorts of stuff. You're not supposed to treat your if the Bible tolerates it. It doesn't say you need to do it. It doesn't command people to go out and do it. What it does do is tell people, look, if you're going to have slaves, this is this is how it's going to be run. And you're not going to just do to these people whatever you want to do. And you can't just murder these people if you want to murder them. That's not what that's not what we do. And if it's an Israelite, they're basically just working off their debts. And once they do, they're back, or the year of Jubilee, you release them no matter what. So, but at that point, I kind of knew, right? But maybe he's just asking me, maybe this is just look, there's some tough things in the Bible. Maybe I want your commentary on it. I was like, okay. And slavery is a big issue that some people have because again, culturally, we don't live around it. And we are brought up understanding that it is very much against our views. It's very much against what we believe in. But what we understand historically as slavery and what slavery was as defined in the Bible as tolerable and okay. Right. What was tolerable in the Bible are two different things, or two different degrees of severity, or however you say it. It's not the same. But unfortunately, proponents of slavery in America use the Bible as a justification for why they did what they did. But that is abusing the word. abusing the word. And it's wrong. And that was what my take on it was when I talked about it in my episodes. The next one was Psalm 137:9, when we talked about specifically. Now, here's one of my problems. People, uh, they do this. There's an experience, what the guy probably didn't read was the title of this, an experience of the captivity. These are people these are Israelites who have been conquered and oppressed, mistreated and beaten, killed sometimes. And so the whole thing was talking about it when we get to Psalm 137:9, how blessed will be the one who seizes and dashes your little ones against the rock. Talking about killing kids during invasion, right? Difficult. Again, difficult. But what is going on? We have a psalm written by a man who's praying to God to deliver his people from the people who are mistreating him. And it's called an imprecatory prayer when you pray for something bad or punishment or some ill to befall someone else. And they exist. And there's justification behind this. And this is still God's people who are being mistreated. So, yeah, he wants recompense. But also understand, these aren't the words from God to the man writing the psalm. This is the man writing the song speaking to God. O daughter of Babylon, you devastator, how blessed be the one who replays, then this is what they didn't read before that, who repays you with destruction as you have repaid us. How blessed will be the one who seizes and dashes your little ones against the rocks. And then finally, Ezekiel 23:20. So we'll do some spoilers out of this. We won't get into it too much. (23:20). For she lusted after her lovers there, whose flesh is like the flesh of donkeys, and whose issue is like the issue of horses. Thus you longed for the lewdness and vulgarity of your youth, when the Egyptians handled your bosom on account of the breasts of your youth. Which really doesn't say anything. But what it is talking about sin and consequences. And this is lewdness, adultery, sexual sin, whatever. All right. So, yeah. And it's kind of a commentary on Jerusalem as a whole. And we'll get into more of this when we get to Ezekiel. So, what I told the gentleman was, I said, I have episodes on Leviticus 25 and Psalm 137. Haven't gotten to Ezekiel yet. But my short take on it is this. One, Jews talking about Ezekiel. Jerusalem sinned greatly, earning punishment. Two, slavery in certain circumstances. And this is talking about Leviticus. Slavery in certain circumstances is tolerated by God. Three, talking about Psalm, imprecatory prayers are acceptable to the Lord. I take it you find these problematic, but I find them based. They are. They're based. The whole Bible is based. And his response was, Jerusalem sinned, greatly earning punishment. All of them? Each and every single one of them sinned greatly and deserve punishment. Just listen to yourself shaking my head. Yeah, that doesn't mean everybody in Jerusalem sinned. We're all sinners. We are all sinners. But the vast majority, if you read your Bible and if you knew your Bible, though people like this like to call, I've read the whole Bible. They usually haven't. They usually have not read more than a smattering of verses, not connected together at all. But they haven't read the Bible. If you read the Bible in this, you understand how wicked and how deeply corrupt the whole uh, nation of Israel, or nations of Israel and Judah, had become. They describe them at length in Kings and Chronicles. And so, yeah, and God sends many warnings, many warnings. He warned them several times throughout the generations as well. And it's written in their rules. It was written in what Moses wrote to them at the end when he was sending them into the promised land. Do not do this. Bad things will happen if you do. They did them anyway. And he was patient. And he did it. He punished them a little bit. And then they complained. And they asked for forgiveness. So he forgave them. And it's this back and forth. And finally, he's like, enough. Enough. And more punishment. So yes, the whole society was punished. They generally sinned as a society, and so they were punished as a society. That's just the way it works. I'm sorry. It's not. I'm sorry that offends your sensibilities, but it is a tough world of and then these are people reaping what they sowed, and sometimes innocents get caught in the bit of it. But they were attached to these folks who made these mistakes, starting from the leaders going all the way down. So yeah, I'll listen to myself. Fine. I don't have a problem with that. You can shake your head all you want. You shake your head to God, because he's the one who did it. Slavery. So he moves, and then moving on. Slavery in certain circumstances tolerated by God. We know for everyone except the Israelites, and that makes under certain circumstances, everyone except the Israelites of indentured servitude. Slavery in certain circumstances. Everyone except God. And that makes the God of the Bible an awful, genocidal, murderous tyrant that condones slavery. If I'm a awful, genocidal, murderous tyrant, slavery is not on the top of my list of things that I have a problem with. Whatever. Also, justifying slavery makes whoever is justifying the genocidal, murderous tyrant an awful person as well. Oh, no. Look, you don't like it, but again, slavery existed in functioning societies. That is anathema to us and how we work today, and in our bubble of rights and constitutional, doctrines and all this stuff. But people get by. And it's not necessarily about what your place is in society, but how you're treated and how you're treating other people. You might not have rights, but are you being cared? Is somebody caring, is treating you like a human being? Yes. But what we call human rights is a very it's a very subjective word, depending on who's holding that. But the Israelites are living under the benefit of having descended from Abraham, descended from Moses, or descended from Jacob, and having Moses deliver them out there, because certain people did what God wanted him to do. He promised them this. And other societies, like the Canaanites, which is the easiest ones to pick on, did things so great and even said, no, I'm punishing your whole civilization. And so it will be okay for these people to own you as slaves. But even though you are slaves, they still can't mistreat you to the point of serious abuse and homicide. So yeah. He's not murderers because murder is unjustified killing. God is always justified. Tyrant, whatever. I'm sure Satan feels the same way. But and apparently he's an awful God and I'm an awful person. I don't care what you think. Um Imprecatory prayers to the Lord. Just say curse. Okay, curse. We call them imprecatory prayers, but if you want to call it curse, it's fine. Just say curse. Why are you trying to hide behind flowery verbiage? You seem comfortable cursing others in the name of your deity. Just admit it instead of hiding behind rosy rhetoric. And we also know that the God of the Bible encourages this murderous, hateful behavior by his followers. Nothing new. I mean, I don't particularly engage in imprecatory prayers personally, but I don't frown on other people in scripture for doing it. I can imagine somebody in the position that these guy folks were in praying in that manner. Praying to God for that manner. Now, if I've got a friend of mine down the street who's mad that somebody cut him off and he's praying to God that something bad happens to him, then he gets a awful car accident and horribly disfigured for the rest of his life or loses his family in the car accident. Yeah, I might take issue with that. Not the same thing. But whatever. I'm an awful person apparently, so it doesn't matter. And I don't care. Because I take it. He says it very problematic, and but in me finding base because of course you do. Yeah. And so I told him, lol, seethe, Christ is king. Also, thanks for the additional content for me to discuss Monday. So that's our intro from what's the guy's name? Boots K and Chelsea 3337 from 3 days ago. Hello, Jenny. So let's go through the chat. Matt Felty, what's going on? Thad the Man, Alex Moore, Emmanuel Osorio, Steve Hawley. Octavia is absent this week. Told me to say hi every day this week. Hi, Octavia, every day this week. Hi back to Octavia every day, even though she's in Tennessee with her mama and Nana. Hope she, her brother, and her mama have a great trip. And I know you're holding down the fort with the kid or with the doggos. Let's see. All right. So let's get back to where we're talking. Carl, no and love. What's going on, sir? The consequences of our actions and decisions to go away from sin is a hard path to follow. And other people can get caught up in this. That's a lot of people don't understand. Other people get caught up in this. The consequences in our actions don't always fall on us. Sometimes they fall on us, but affect other people. What are you saying, Stu? That God has standards? Yeah. Oh, amazing. That God has commandments. He creates this universe. He creates us. And he's like, look, I got a list of rules. I want you to obey them. And if you don't, there will be some punishment. Okay, Stu, where's your Confederate flag? We know you've got at least 4. There are no Confederate flags in this house or on my property that I'm aware of, unless one's buried somewhere in the backyard. But the the Civil War fixtures around this house are from the Union. Actually, it was a Union artillery line, so doubt that there would be one. So Matt Felty, sanctuary cities for murderers existed as a mechanism for order during the time of judges. Yeah, I mean, it takes too long to go into all this, there was a whole society built with certain understandings. And it's difficult for us to wrap our heads around it if we are so entrenched in our own thinking that everything in America, in that Constitution or whatever, is right, with the exception of whatever our college professors told us is evil about the U.S. Constitution and everything, or if you're just a communist, or if you're this, raging libertarian, doesn't matter. You know, if you can't get your head out of that and understand that all of the ways our government is dysfunctional, so are other governments that are dysfunctional. All you have to do is look at what happened over the weekend. I mean, come on now. Take yourself out of that and put this in. It's like, okay, God created this fixture for us, and then this is all about having a well-ordered society where the expectation was that we were supposed to treat each other in a dignified way, but still be with the expectation that we are rewarded for our efforts, like a meritocracy, but allowing for people not following the rules, and that there is due process, there's a criminal code, there's crime and punishment, right? There's legal recourse. But because it doesn't line up with what this person thinks is just, it's just a murderous, genocidal tyrant. Who cares what you think? You're going to go around shaking your fist at God. Why don't you do things my way? Talking about how horrible of a person that he is, horrible of a deity that he is, and the whole horrible people who agree with him is, or try to follow him is. Who are you? And what makes you right? Nothing. You're nobody, and nothing makes you right. Just like I'm a nobody, and nothing makes me right. Sorry. That conceit there is part of your problem. Steve Hawley said, but even the innocent are not innocent. They didn't turn away from the leaders. Some did. They followed what was going on, just like today. People may sin, and one sin, not one other, is greater than another. Yes, and here's going more into this. This was a pervasive problem. This was a pervasive problem. Many sins, lots of it false idol worship, human sacrifice, child sacrifice to be more specific, sexual immorality, all sorts of stuff, and just turning away from God. A lot of what we see maybe today. Who knows? I'm reading a comment on my YouTube. Main said, remember, God is our Father, and He's that says, okay, if you're going to learn from you're going to learn from your mistakes. It looks like Stu is letting the voices in his head win. As long as you can hear him through the mic, Emmanuel. Was it a comment in the video? Yes, it was a comment on the video, not in the chat. It wasn't any of you guys in the chat. It was a comment after the fact on the video, popped up, and guy asked a question. I thought it was, you know, I had my suspicions until I really looked up all the passages, but I was like, okay, maybe this guy wants to learn. Maybe he wants me to address some hard topics, but his responses really just showed that he wanted it to be some sort of gotcha. And he didn't like the fact that I said, I agree with all of this. And you're not going to shame me into it. Sorry. They hate that. They hate that so much that they want to point out, oh, look at this bad thing God did in the Bible. I think I'm perfectly fine with that. What? You're horrible. Okay. You think I'm horrible. Great. saying a curse is a way for the commenter to get you to contradict Deuteronomy 18, 11, 12. Well, fortunately, we've got a lot of Jesus talking to Pharisees that God doesn't play the word games over this, right? You want to call it a curse because you think it's a curse or whatever, or we want to call it precatory prayers over something. What is it? He's not telling somebody he's not prophesying that's going to happen. He's asking God to do something on behalf of him. And he might just be venting about it. But we've seen what goes on in Psalm 137 is not singular to that psalm. There are other psalms like that. But you understand where they're coming from. And you understand that the guys who came in there and treated and conquered did not treat them well. And that they had no respect for God. So they were just as bad as the Israelites, if not worse. So maybe I don't know if this guy knows the Bible enough to know anything about Deuteronomy 18, Matt. But even if he did, again, you just saying this is a curse and God, it's not a contradiction. It's you playing word games with it. Flowery language. I don't need to use flowery language. I'll use your language, whatever. Say whatever you want because there is only one truth. What's going on, Jenny? I already said hi to you, but again, I see hello again. Evil flag, keep it hidden. That's what I go for right there. The cross. Wait, why will it pop up? There we go. Our government's dysfunction. No. It's totally normal for a dude to withdraw his name from the presidential race as the sitting president and disappear for 3 to 4 days or 3+ days. Yeah. It's got to need to come out sometime. I mean, people are starting to get a little antsy and, just sends a letter. Supposed to be addressing us later on this week. I don't know. But again, I mean, even outside of that, these were just 2 recent examples of the government being completely dysfunctional. No, he didn't delete his comment that I'm aware of. I was reading it just now. I just pulled it up. It's it was episode 306, Proverbs 14 part 2. So it wasn't Thursday night's comment. But again, you can't go, oh, that whole way of being is just terrible. Okay, well, we don't have a great society that we can point to. Look how great we do it. And that was, one of we aren't the shining example of greatness. Do we do things better than most, if not everybody else right now? Yeah. I mean, you can make a very strong argument about that. Does that mean we're doing it right? No. Look, if you can't even get a nice lady like Jenny to want to vote for you, we can't even put a candidate that Jenny likes. You see this sweet member of our chat who the only negative thing she's ever said has been about LeBron James's kid and that he can't play. If you can't get her to vote, if you can't win her vote, what does that say about our government and our society? It's absolute abject failure. Abject failure. Emmanuel said again, if the people in said are in sin and walking away in the wrong path and double down on it, it will lead to hatred and eventually your own destruction. Carl says LBJ did the same, but he stayed president, did not hide. Yes. Okay. Now, he did. Difference is LBJ didn't have Alzheimer's. So the prediction from my wife, from what she's seen, far what as it is, but my wife is very, because again, this is her profession, right? She says she thinks it's Alzheimer's. Um, Alzheimer's is a form of dementia, and just kind of how he's acting. LBJ did not have Alzheimer's. What LBJ had was the Vietnam War, and what seemed to be a war that he and Congress wasn't willing to really fight the way that we are as a nation are built to fight. We fight to win, not fight to just hang around and do it. Um, if we had fought Vietnam like we fought World War II, it wouldn't have lasted that long and it wouldn't have cost us so many lives. Would it have been a different type of warfare? Yeah. But we didn't do what we were willing to do in World War II. And it seemed like it was just it seemed like there was an ulterior motive. And then uh, due to other things that were going on, war was incredibly unpopular. And a lot of his decisions were very unpopular. And I think a lot of LBJ's things that he did, like the Great Society and the war on poverty, did massive, terrible things to us as a society, compounding on to FDR's New Deal. That's me personally. I'm not going to get into it, but he was coherent. He could talk through it. Biden, look, I believe Biden had all these symptoms, though they weren't as exaggerated as they are, but they were in some forward during the 2019 when he was campaigning. It was why they sequestered him so much, and they didn't let him out all that much on the campaign trail. And COVID was a convenient excuse to do that. But that man does not know where he is right now. And he is not making, and I promise you, he is not making decisions and hasn't made them in some time, if he ever was, really. Emmanuel says it kind of sounds like what's been happening today, besides people who know are wrong and are confidently ignoring love using sign language. Why did you acronym that? Are you talking about virtue signaling? Um, yeah. Oh, I've been doing Instagram stuff, and it's mostly correcting people. What I hate on Instagram is people trying to pull other people down. I hate Catholics, and it's mostly Catholics and Protestants at each other. I hate seeing that. I hate seeing bad apologetics. And the other thing that I see is people trying to pull people away from Christianity. I don't believe in God anymore. So this is why you should. So you don't believe in God either. We're trying to say it's okay to be a Christian and still practice magic and be Wicca and all this, and or it's all this weird stuff. So I've been correcting reels. That's my reels. And I started one where a lady said, "There's no such thing as hell." And I said, "Well, if you think the church made hell up, you're going to be just wait until you find out what Jesus has to say about it." And that thing has done 10,000 views now. I wish I could be this about popular on here. Probably not. I like it small with you guys, but you know, it's amazing what people think and will say. Serrano says, "Guess Trump wasn't the only candidate the CIA wanted assassinated and they wanted the whole playing field reset." Matt Felty, so it was brought into discussion by a proverb saying it wasn't a good way of operating. Interesting. I don't know if it was the proverb Proverbs 14, or if it's just that he saw that I was talking about the Bible and went in, because you see this a lot online. You see this a lot online, is that people just go into these spaces and just so the Bible talks about slavery, the Bible talks about rape, the Bible's about um the hate, and that's all they care about. They don't care about what you're saying. They don't even really care about what you respond with, just as long, but they want you to feel ashamed, or they want you to get caught up in this struggle session of trying to explain it instead of going, "I think what the Bible says is fine." They're not interested in reading it. They're not interested in discussing it with you. They don't believe, they don't want you to believe, and they think that you should feel bad for believing. That's what I think. I could be wrong. Maybe he went through the whole episode and he goes, but I have some other questions. I have to ask because I have to ask this question about slavery. Don't know. I'm just reading between the lines. Jenny reiterated, doubling down, Jenny, with that's right. He still can't play. Manuel said, wow, I can't believe Joe graduated without even saying goodbye. It's VTuber's joke. I can't believe he's the first president to text breakup with the nation. He tweeted it, right? To be fair, he inherited the Vietnam War from the French. No. Vietnam was a mess. We could have done so much better. And they're basically, aren't they like almost allies with us right now? Couldn't we have done that? I don't know. Alex said he is the most fit to defeat Trump. I don't know who he is. Steve says he doesn't even know who president. Oh, he was the most fit. You mean in 2019? I don't know. I don't know where that was coming from. Alex. He doesn't even know who the president is. He definitely doesn't know who the vice president is. He said Trump was the right vice president. So the war on poverty hit all the middle class and lower middle class communities. Oh, and we can't forget his famous words. Yeah, I know the famous words. And I know that it just shows how racist that whole initiative was. And it's awful. And the fact that nobody holds that up as a reason why we don't like it. Serranos, yeah. This is what if God exists, why do bad things happen? Yeah. You might say Serranos is gross, but that's what they say. It's a lot of ugly rhetoric out there. Whoops. Sorry about that, guys. I accidentally clicked the button. I saw plenty of that. They got me. I saw plenty of that, on this in this massive amount of comments on Instagram. They come in and say some of the weirdest things. It wasn't there was the discussion of is hell real or not and whatever. That's you see that, but people who just come and go, God's not real, or again, murder, rape, genocide, blah blah blah. That's all the Bible's about. Hate, blah blah blah. That's their starting and ending point. They're not in there to do anything, and it's kind of just trolls. I mean, it is. But I mean, that's what you assume goes on in their mind because that's what comes out of their mouth. Matt, it's unfortunate, but I think that's what some of these proverbs are about when we talk about mockers and scoffers. So, when tribalism is one hell of a drug. I think sometimes it's tribalism, sometimes it's like, oh, I've been told this is what's supposed to be right, and some of it is, I like the things I do in life, and I don't want anybody telling me that I'm wrong or that I shouldn't be doing them. Instead of us holding, to me, a lot of times it comes back to not wanting to be held accountable for anything. They only want to hold themselves accountable by their own moral compass. The universe doesn't revolve around them. It does revolve around God. He is the one being you can't say that about, or you can say that about. The universe does revolve around God. He makes the rules. He created it. We just live here, right? But it's not that he is not cruel. He is not sinister. He is not unkind and unloving. What he has made is us in his image, with, to me, in my opinion, the free will to make mistakes. And in doing so, he gives us the grace to forgive us for those mistakes, so long as we want to be part of what he is building, or what he has built. But what he has built has rules, and we need to be willing to at least attempting to conform to them. We have to buy into that. And love is a big part of it. But love isn't just what the media or whatever special interest group defines love as. Love is what God defines it as. How's that for an hour into the beginning of the daggone hey, look, I thanked him for the content. He gave me some content. All right, so let's get in. Let's do 5 proverbs. See if we can get through 5 and see how fast, and then we'll call it an evening. Hopefully all you guys had a good weekend. Glad to see that you guys all made it. Guys and gal made it. And there you have it. All right. Continuing on, Proverbs 15, contrast the upright and the wicked. We are still contrasting the upright and the wicked. A soft and gentle, thoughtful answer turns away wrath, but harsh and painful and careless words stir up anger. Good one. Good one. Emmanuel, you and I, in particular, when I'm looking at this chat, you and me, we seem to be the way to address yourself, Stu. Yeah. Um, you and me seem to have the most blunt um approach to how we respond to people, and it can come across as harsh. Maybe not painful, though the truth hurts sometimes. Careless. I think we choose our words carefully, though not always understandably. We we don't pull punches in what we say. How that differs, how I write, how I comment, a lot of times is more harsh than how I speak sometimes. But even when I speak, it can be blunt. It can not have the intent that we have. We don't, and Emmanuel, I'm speaking for you, so correct me if I'm incorrect. Correct me if I am wrong about this. But you don't speak that way in an effort to make somebody mad. You speak that way in a matter to get them to pay attention and understand that what they are doing is wrong, or that they might be misled in a certain way. And that is the way that we communicate generally. And sometimes it's tied to frustration because of the fact that we even have to have a discussion off of what is right and wrong. Sometimes it's just the way our personalities are. Just the way our personalities are written. That can be counterproductive to winning hearts and minds, to growing the kingdom. We are a blunt instrument is not always the best selection. Different people respond to it differently, but mostly people react harshly to harsh criticism. Sometimes people addressed humbly, but here it is. A soft and gentle and thoughtful answer turns away wrath, being slow, um, measured, thoughtful, maybe giving somebody a little bit of cushion and wiggle room in a rebuke can keep them from bristling and getting defensive. There are some people out there who just have a knack for this. Steve, your brother, I think that's what makes your brother so good at what he does, because he has a knack for that. But he has got a little bit of both flavors. He can talk to somebody kind of in a gentle way, but I've also seen him drop the hammer, so to speak. But he is the one who he has told people, he has told elders at the church who he left, hey, you might not like the way Stewart said this to you, but he's right. He might not know how to communicate that in a diplomatic way. He might not know how to compose himself in a way that um, is inviting to others, but what he says is right. And I think that's, for me personally, that has been a problem for a lot of my life. Our platoon sergeant said, Stuart, you know what your problem is? You know you're smart, but I don't know how to be smart. I know when I have an idea, I share it. I don't exactly know how to um, present it in a way. It's hard being a junior enlisted in the military. It's hard being junior enlisted in the military when you're surrounded by officers, which you have a lot in aviation, officers and warrant officers and college graduates. When you are on their level, you just don't have the documents because you didn't feel like going through college. Um, but you know, when they hear it coming from you got guys in their 30s and 40s, career officers talking about how to solve a problem, and some kid in his early 20s who's enlisted, he's not even an officer, pipes up with a thought and he doesn't compose it well. He doesn't draw it out. Um, they get offended. Who the hell is this guy? Who the hell does this kid think he is talking, throwing ideas out there? And I ended up having to do is feed them through my platoon sergeant, who was much older, well respected as a a guy who knew his craft and could travel in those circles as a senior enlisted non-commissioned officer. It doesn't win me any friends, and I don't. I I pray, and I probably don't pray enough to God to lead me to an answer, lead me to some method of being able to get be able to talk to people more in a way that can be more persuasive to my side. That is a personality flaw of mine. I know it, don't know how to fix it, um, but I know where I need to be, which is uh, soft and gentle, thoughtful, as opposed to harsh, painful, and careless. Steve, you said I might. Steve says he just tells him how it is. Your brother's much better at that. Might be why you're home alone and nothing to do. You're watching the dogs, daggone it, and listening to me. Matt Felty said it. Yeah, I know what's wrong with it. Ain't got no gas in it. Specialist Davis. You might Yeah. Especially somebody whose mentors were both very spicy and very salty uh enlisted guys who did not care about their rank. And I saw them as monkey see, monkey do. Saw them do it, I did it right back. And they didn't. And those are guys who knew their aircraft inside and out, had proven it. Me, on the other hand, quick study, knew what I was doing, but did not have the track record, had not basically earned my place. Steve said I had to do it while team leader told bosses they're idiots because I knew more than them. I never said I know more than you, but I just have a way of going about it where it's just in the tone. Could be better. I could be better. And trust me, and I do have people like Steve's brother, like my wife, um, and others who try to tone it down. And I am bullheaded and stubborn. But I really want to be better about it. Which is part of why I do enjoy the fact that you guys get things out of what I say here, and that I think I'm a lot more thoughtful. I know I'm stern, and I know I can go on my rants here, but I feel like a little bit I'm much better at talking to you guys um, than I am in other situations. Do you want to act better? Or do you want better results? I mean, obviously, I just want the better results. I want to do it in the manner that God says I should do it. I want to do it the right way. That's that's generally been my that's generally always been my goal. I want to follow the rules and I want to do it the right way. You are when another rewords what I said, they agreed. I just told them all to get the heck out of my area. I was on one that shut down the line. I told them it wouldn't move till it was fixed. Well, also, you're team leader. If you're team leader, you've also kind of earned a little bit of your role too. So imagine being 23 years old and running shift maintenance in a hangar in in the military in in a war zone. So for 20 airframes. The tongue of the wise speaks knowledge that is pleasing and acceptable, but the babbling mouth of fools spouts folly. Now, I'm a little bit wise and I'm a little bit foolish. I think I'm more wise than foolish, depending on the day, depending on the topic. I try not to speak about things I don't know about without saying, hey, I don't necessarily know what I'm talking about here. Um, tongue of the wise speaks knowledge that is pleasing and acceptable. You're wise, you know what you're supposed to say, you know how to say it. If you're a fool, you run your mouth, you speak about a lot of garbage, nobody believes you, and you just end up ticking people off. Say, or as the kids say less. Steve said the bosses only want like people that say yes to them. I get that, but if you show you know what you're doing, they need to listen. And to me, it's just like if you don't speak up, can you complain when they don't see them when they do the wrong thing? The eyes of the Lord are in every place, watching the evil and the good in all their endeavors. He knows when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows when you've been bad or good. So be good for goodness sake. Look, this is not just a song about Santa Claus. It is a song, or it is a truism about the omnipresence and omniscience of God. He is everywhere and he knows everything. I think something that has helped me personally, that I don't know if how other people view it, since I was a kid, I think this is one of the things I credit from being a cradle Christian from very young. I have just always assumed, well, no matter what I do, right or wrong, God knows. And mostly, mostly when I think about it, it's when I do something wrong. I'm not fooling everybody. I'm not fooling anybody, or I might be fooling other people. Nobody might know. God knows. God knows. So, did you really accomplish anything? No. God knows. You didn't get away with it. You did something wrong. You know you did something wrong. Just because nobody else knows you did something wrong doesn't mean that God doesn't know. He knows. He knows. So that's why to me it's repentance should be relatively easy. God knows what you did wrong. You know it. You know it. He knows it. Just accept it, understand it, and be sorry for it. Be genuinely sorry for it. Remorse and repentance. Don't rest on your laurels though, saying, "Oh, look at all the great things." No, don't do that. Don't sit on your accomplishments. You can take satisfaction in the fact that you did the right thing, but try to build on it. Don't just go, "Oh yeah, I'm doing everything right now." A soothing tongue speaking words that build up and encourage is a tree of life, but a perversive tongue speaking words that overwhelm and depress crushes the spirit. Again, I have to say, I need to be more uplifting and encouraging in my words than I am overwhelming. I don't know about depressing, but maybe more spiteful in this. I get this when we're, especially when we're talking about when it's religious arguments for people who are being that I view as being disrespectful to the Lord, or disrespectful about the Lord, or disrespectful about Christianity, or disrespectful about Christians. I get irritated about that. I That's not right. They shouldn't be doing this. I can't. No, I need to say something back. I need to correct them. I need to put them in their place. And that sometimes makes my language reflect that correctiveness. And it can be um, well laced in um, sarcasm, invective, um, mocking tones, condescension. Because look, some of these arguments are really stupid. And I am, unfortunately, not afraid to get in the mud with them. Now, I would normally watch my language, but that doesn't mean I can't say the same thing using, what did that guy say? More flowery words. But I have been well known as idiot, moron, stupid, degenerate. Those are words that I use. But and what that does is disguise and hide the fact that what I want to see these folks do. I'm mad that they're saying this. I'm mad that they believe this. I don't want them pulled out into the street and beaten. What I want them is just to understand that what they're saying is wrong. I want them to change their heart. I want them to come to Christ. And I need to be less invective, less sarcastic, and more encouraging and building up. But it's a difficult environment. And I'm saying, but I'm making excuses. However, this is part of the reality. It's a difficult environment to do that with. So to me, it requires a gift, a true gift and a true calling to be able to um, navigate through that and win hearts and minds and talk to people and being able to ignore the folks who are not interested at all and even listening at all to anything anybody else has to say. They just want to feel better about themselves because they're right. All right, last proverb for tonight. A flippant and arrogant fool rejects his father's instruction and correction, but he who is willing to learn and regards and keeps in mind a reprimand acquires good sense. We've talked to this before about we've run into proverbs like this before. It's very simple. Your father, mentor, whatever. But your father instructs you, corrects you when you're wrong. If you reject that, if you ignore that, if you laugh it off and don't take it seriously, you are a fool and you are arrogant. As I said, you are an idiot. You are acting dumb. And we've been this kid. I'm sure y'all have too been this kid. Don't listen to your parents. You don't think they're right. 15 years later, you're like, gosh, dang it, they were right all the time. And the older you get, the more you understand. The more you understand what your parents are saying and why your parents said what they said. So you learn, or you take what is written here in Proverbs as wisdom. Be willing to learn. Be willing to be corrected. Be willing to be reprimanded, disciplined, not just told what you were doing wrong, but disciplined in it. Take the punishment. Take your medicine. Take your comeuppance, your just desserts, whatever you want to call it. Take it as a learning experience. It's all learning experience. And if you approach that in a humble and earnest desire to learn, you acquire good sense. I mean, to me, part of it is good sense is that mentality. And there you have it. All right, folks. It's been a good stream. Got through 5 proverbs, talking about a little bit about some things that people find problematic. Don't let anybody bully. Here's what I want to say. Don't let anybody bully you about your faith in the word of God. Don't let anybody use their morality, their ethics, their idea of right and wrong. Understand what right and wrong is described in the scripture. That's where you're finding truth. That's where you're finding words from God who cannot be argued with successfully. Steve's brother has got a great saying. I love it. You can, and I use it from time to time. You can do anything once. Or you can try it, or I guess you can try anything once. I said, wow, you're saying not listening to your dad, man. When is he coming back? You're gonna get in the milk though. Oh, mine left to get smokes. No, I'm just playing. My dad was very present. Um, but there you have it. That's that's the long and short of it. So, Steve, Carl, Emmanuel, Serranos, Matt, Jenny, Alex. I think that's the crew tonight. Oh, Thad. Thad the man's in here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for your 2 cents, which is way more valuable than me. I guess 2 cents is needs to be upped, especially with today's inflation. Um, your 2 cents is valuable coins to me, valuable currency to me. I appreciate it. Y'all make this show better. Please continue to do so. Please never think that you were what you're saying is unwelcome. To everybody listening and not commenting because you either can't or you won't, just glad you're here and finding something you can tune into and listen to and appreciate. And to everybody who is catching this on replay, sorry I missed you. Glad you're listening. Hope to catch you live sometime soon. We will be streaming tomorrow. As well, plan on streaming tomorrow, and we'll see where we go. Continue on Proverbs 15. Everybody have a good night, and God bless.